Hey, Louise.
Hi, Sarah.
Here we are for another chapter review from Journey of the Adopted Self by Betty Jean Lifton. This chapter really, we've got chapter 12, The Painted Bird. This
Yeah.
chapter just really left me feeling just sad,
Yeah. Me
really
too.
lingering sadness.
That's what you said when we got on. I was like, me too. I feel the same way.
It's all about like being a bastard. I mean, that's illegitimate bastard, which thankfully that word seems to have fallen out of fashion. But it starts off with a quote. The problem with telling a child he's a bastard is that it is a negative identity. Shakespeare's bastards are full of rage because no one trusts them, which is a quote by Eric Erickson.
Yeah. And if you think about that, the quote is actually from Eric Erickson, who's a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's, I mean, pretty heavy. And right away, I was like, oh, it is a harsh word. Even illegitimate.
Yeah.
Like,
In fact, it says the knowledge of having arrived illegitimately into the world is buried deep in the adoptee's unconscious, waiting to be tapped.
yeah. I had a lot of different thoughts going through this chapter of like how there was this aha moment she talked about when you don't think you're illegitimate, but maybe you meet the family, you're having to, she said it comes up a lot in reunion, and you're
Mm-hmm.
meeting the family. And then all of a sudden they don't want to really say who you are to people.
Right.
That came up a lot in this. And it's like the shame all of a sudden, oh, because you're going through your life, I'm adopted, I'm special, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, well, maybe you're not. And I had a greater appreciation for my biological mom's family because they really embraced me. They found me and embraced me. And I, at the time, had no idea that that would be important to my psyche. But I do think it is important.
Absolutely. I was thinking all through the chapter, like, wow, I'm really grateful that Tilda, talked to her other children, my siblings, all about me. They knew about me from the time they were little. She, embraced me, and same with my my biological father's family. He died long ago, but they weren't suspicious or weird or anything. They just I'm your Aunt Beverly, and I'm, really just took I have yet to meet them, but just in a social media, talking on
Yeah.
the phone, all that stuff. So
It's a big thing. I don't know yet about my biological dad's side, so that's yet to be determined. But I do feel with my biological mom, that would have been really painful had they been, I mean, had I done the searching and had I looked and they said, oh, we don't want to know you type of thing. We've
yeah,
known
there were
get,
some just
yeah,
terrible, sad stories.
harsh.
These are obviously Betty Jean's patients, because she
Right.
talks about how she would, get in there and kind of help be the middleman if need be. But just really, so when, finding out that your biological mother is dead, like you had
Yeah.
that, and, so she has a whole thing about that.
Yeah. The thing when she got into the dead mother, can you be rejected by the dead mother? I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting segue. And I guess you can, but that would come through their family. And that's where I was like, okay,
Like
I would,
the one man says, like, my sister would,
yeah.
yeah.
Like he said, oh, my sister would have really loved you and been proud of you, but please stay back here and say you're somebody else at this event. And like, and
It's like
if
feeling like an affair,
an affair, I still want to read that book, An Affair with My Mother, that someone recommended to us. Just the title alone makes me, after
Yeah.
this chapter, kind of want to skip to that a little bit. Was it Betty Jean Lifton who had the experience where they invited her to a family function and wanted her to come as different people?
Yes, yes. And that's when she stopped she stopped communicating with her. She stopped seeing her birth mother then because it was so
Yeah. And
insulting.
she thought, well, maybe I should have gone because that would have been the only time to have the little break in to even know these people.
Yes.
But
Or
how
was it her? Or was
insulting.
it somebody else? She talked about it though.
Yeah.
And then I like that she does say, she tells to her adoptees in counseling, it's not you the birth mother is rejecting, but her former self.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like she talked about the like they bury themselves. You're having a
Mhm.
funeral for yourself when you let go of that baby, especially the more shame that was around it, the women who had no choice. Like there was a one situation where the woman had a journal with her mother, letters back and forth, and they were documenting like, oh, I'm buying a couch today in the color of my living room. Oh, the baby was born. Thank God that's over.
Yes,
And
yes,
then
yes.
still journaling with back and forth with the daughter. And it just went on like it never happened to her.
Yes.
Not like, how do you feel? You know,
Just like that's behind us now.
that's behind us. And it wasn't, there
Yes.
was never an acknowledgement that it was even a baby. It was like
Well, then I thought
non-person.
this was a good line. Adoptees who are turned away by their birth mothers often feel as if they have been as if they have been absorbed the infants infanticidal fantasies of the woman who unwillingly carried them. They were aborted after they were born rather than after they were conceived.
Ooh, that's a huge quote.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of those words you just said. That's a lot going on there, even
Yeah.
in today's culture with what's going on with adoption and the conversations as well. What you know, what made me sad too is why this is even called the painted bird,
I
like the
know.
chapter, because I was trying to look for it. Here it
It
goes.
was Jerry Kaczynski's novel of that same name. Separated from its flock
Yes.
by a sadistic peasant, the brown bird is painted all over in brilliant colors and then released. It soars happy and free, pulled by some instinctive force towards its kin who do not recognize it. The painted bird circles from one end of the flock to the other, vainly trying to assure the other birds that it is
Mm.
one of them. But dazzled by its alien colors, they fly around it unconvinced and then charge toward the intruder. The changeling is attacked from all sides, and shortly the many hued shape loses its place in the sky, drops to the ground, and dies.
Mm. That's the part that made me so sad. Like I read
Yeah.
that and I was like, I kind of sat there a minute thinking, first of all, she's once again a great writer, how she brings everything in and thinks of things like this to tie in. But it really made me think they didn't recognize their own bird. You don't
Yeah.
recognize
Their
your
own
own child,
family.
their own
Yeah.
family. There's one part right after that. This is, I think, good for adoptees. It says, I'm often asked
Oh,
whether I
yeah. That
think,
I highlighted
did
that.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
was
am
going to say,
often asked whether I think a birth mother has the right to shut out the child she brought into the world. My answer is an unequivocal equivocal no. As for whether adoptees have the right to meet with the birth mother at least once to hear their life story, an unequivocal yes. As one birth mother said, you can't relinquish all the responsibilities for parenthood just by relinquishing the child.
mm-hmm.
And I like that she said that because we have had guests, many guests, we've met so many people through this who have, it's been that like, sorry, that wall. And
Mm-hmm.
she does say you have a right to know your parents, both parents, actually, like
And,
everybody.
but you don't like, but then to go on, because, there would be
Yeah.
an argument about, does the child have a right to demand a relationship with the birth mother after she gives the information? No, the child did not have that right to
Yeah.
intrude on the life if that's not what the birth mother wants. And then, so,
It's kind of like you have the right to
and then the birth
knowledge.
mother doesn't have the right to intrude on the child if that's not what they want.
Right.
So, but in terms of meeting, getting your questions answered,
You have a right to knowledge,
yeah,
right?
you have a
It's like,
right to knowledge.
what did they say here? A family therapist, Randolph Severson, points out all people who walk the face of the earth possess the inalienable right to know their history and to meet the man and woman from whom they drew breath. But like
Yeah,
she says,
I
we
highlighted
liked
that
all the
too.
good ones together. But you don't have the, someone else, one of our guests had said that somewhere along the way, that you don't have the right to a relationship, but everyone deserves to know where they come from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's for sure true because some people don't even want to search because they're so scared of the relationship. But I feel like I want them, we've
Or
told
maybe
different
deep down
guests,
they're scared of the potential
well, right,
rejection.
whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, remember we had somebody on recently, we won't say, well, we're like, no, search just for knowing who you are. Because
Yes.
for me, it was so healing to figure out who the heck I am.
Or we went, it was searching for the birth father because I think they had found their
Oh, right.
birth mother.
Is that the one which he'll laugh about it too, where you're like, uh, did you come for money? You got any money?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You get all kinds of
Right.
things.
Yeah.
What was it?
What are you trying to get money or something? Yeah.
Oh, good, you're
Uh,
alive. I don't have any money.
yeah. Barking up the wrong tree. Wow,
Well,
that was yeah, that episode. I mean, this chapter just left me feeling sad,
yeah, it's a little sad,
for
this one.
how and grateful that I didn't have, that I had a good experience with meeting.
Yeah,
Um,
me too. And also the fact that we came along when we did, because in the 40s, they actually used that word
I know.
to the kids. That was kind of the history of just the word, and like people just directly saying to you, "Oh, you're a bastard." Can you imagine that? I've never really had that. I'm sure people out there
Yeah.
have, but thank God I haven't.
Yeah, I can't remember. I certainly didn't.
Yeah, it's harsh, but it is a and she did even bring up some contemporary people who have said it recently in the media, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, who we know.
Well, contemporary 30 years ago when this book
Right,
was written.
that's right. And that person has some problems.
Yeah. Lots has come out after that. Well, speaking of bastards, our next guest. No, just kidding.
Our next guest is great.
Yes, as all of our guests are.
Yeah.
So just yeah.
And
See you in a few minutes.
See you in a few minutes. Bye.